Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see how we can connect our ASP.NET MVC Web Application with MySQL database. So you can go ahead and download MySQL Workbench or MySQL Server, or otherwise you can also use XAMPP or WAMP in order to create the database. Here, if you visit into MySQL website by Google search, you can go to download section, and then here we should see MySQL community GPL downloads. Go to there, and then here you can select the MySQL community server or MySQL workbench. So after downloading that, you can set up your connection there. Now in this case, I'm going to use XAMPP. You can search XAMPP, then you can go ahead and download. Otherwise, there are another one called WAMP. This is similar, so we can create our database. So after you install in the XAMPP, you can open that. To open that, you can if you are using Windows, you can directly open the XAMPP software. Otherwise, if you are using the Mac, you will see the XAMPP folder in the launchpad, and then open that, you will see this manager OS X. So this will need your computer password. I will go to manage servers, and then here MySQL database, select that, and then press start. Also Apache web server, press start. So after starting, you can go ahead and open your phpMyAdmin. You can access your phpMyAdmin by going into localhost / phpMyAdmin. Let me go ahead and open localhost / phpMyAdmin. Just you can enter that only, so it will open your phpMyAdmin. So here you don't have to create the database. We are going to follow code first approach. So that means we will do everything with the code. So open your Visual Studio, and then go ahead and create a new project. I will press new. So in the previous video we discussed how we can create our MVC architecture based ASP.NET Web Application. Now if you go to the app section, you will see this web application. Select C#, and this should be in model view controller. So press continue. So I already discussed about these in the previous video, so I can go ahead and select the individual authentication. If you select this, the default login and registration functions will be available. Otherwise, if you select no authentication, you have to do that manually. So this is easier, so we can press continue. Here we have to enter the project name. So the project name I am going to define as MySQL Connect. This will be project name, and then the solution name. Here you have to select or specify your project destination. So this is my destination, and make sure you have just press this put project file in the subfolder. Otherwise, all project files will be available in this folder without a subfolder. Press create. So this will be the last video that I am creating the new application by a fresh start. So I will use this same application for future videos in ASP.NET playlist. Okay, now we can press this play button, or if you are using the Windows, you will see that the build button is there, so you can go ahead and start. So in this project, here we have our local database file. What I will do, just open my program.cs. Now here I am going to comment this @db context code and also this options.use SQLite. That means this database, this is just a SQLite database, that's why we are seeing that. Okay, after commenting that, here we don't have installed the required MySQL library into our project. So firstly we have to do that. Click the tools and then select the manage NuGet packages. Inside this you are going to search MySQL. After searching, you should see this formula.entity framework core.mysql, and there are other libraries too. You can also use this MySQL data.entity framework core. Now I am going to use this Pomelo library. So then select the latest version. Now make sure what is your current project, the .NET version. If you don't know, you can just go ahead and create a new project, and before creating that you have to see what is the version there available. So this one, the latest one, and then press add. You have to if you are using Windows, you will see some checkbox area in this side, and then you have to select your project as destination project and then press install. So I will click OK here. Same window will be appears to you in the Windows to ask you some permission stop. Okay, now it is been added and the project is saved. Now we have to configure our connection string. So every connection strings should be stored in this app settings.json. Here you can see this default connection is just connected to our local database, which is the SQLite database. Here instead this one I am going to replace this with the server is equals to localhost. If you don't know what I am doing here, you can open your browser and then go to phpMyAdmin. You might using your hosted database, so you will see your server here, IP address or anything. And if you go to this users account, you will also see this localhost, also the IP address. We can use this localhost to here, and then we have to separate with the semicolon, and after that I am going to define port. What is this port is? Now if you are using your XAMPP, you can open that. You can select this MySQL database and then click configure. I think the same thing should be appears in the WAMP server. Here we are using XAMPP. So this is your port number. Copy that and then paste that here. Okay. Now if you want to find your port number through phpMyAdmin, you can go to phpMyAdmin and then click SQL. Here you have to type show variables. Let me zoom this. Where variable underscore name is equals to the value of port. Now if you go ahead and go, you will see this your port number. So by default port number will be this one in most cases. So the next one I am going to define the database name. So your database can be created here. You don't have to create the database in the phpMyAdmin or MySQL server, because this is a code first approach, so the database will be also created. So here we have to define the database name. You can define your own database name that you decide to be created. And then the next one, we have to pass in the user. I will say user is equals to root. Now let me use some meaningful database name here. I will say MySQL first DB, like that. So if you don't know your user name, you can go to your phpMyAdmin and then go to user accounts, and then here you will see your username as root for the local host. Now if you don't have predefined a password, you can just say password is equals to, just keep that as it is, you don't have to do anything. Okay, now if you have the password, you can enter the password here, and then after that put the semicolon. Alright, now this one, the persist security info. Now I will set this as true. Now this will remember these credentials and information after setting this persist security info as true. Okay, don't add the semicolon to end of this connection string, because this is a JSON file. Now we can close this, and then here what we have to do, below of this connection is equals to builder.configure.get connection string. I will go ahead and say builder.services dot add db context pool. Select that and then put angle brackets. Inside this we have to pass in this class name here in this data folder, application db context, which is generated by default. Now this one, application db context. Now after that we have to put parentheses. Inside parentheses I am going to say options and then equals to angle bracket. Now this is a lambda function, so here we have to create a new line so we can easily understand what we are going to do here, because otherwise this line will be very lengthy. I am going to say options dot use MySQL. Now if you forgetly put the add db context, you will see this use MySQL is not visible. So that's why you have to use add db context pool. Don't forget that. So inside this I'm going to pass in the connection string and then the server version. So automatically detection of the server version can be done using this server version dot auto detect and then put parentheses. Now inside parentheses we can pass in the connection string. Okay, now that is it, and then finally end up with the semicolon here. Alright, now we can go ahead and run this to see whether this is working or not. If this is working, the database should be created in our phpMyAdmin. Call the database that we put in our connection string, which is the MySQL first DB. Now before running we had to do something. Let me go ahead and show you. If we enter something and then some password here, we can see we have an error. That's because we had to do something here. Just close this running and then right click on your project and then click open in terminal. Here press ls, so you can see you are in the current project. Accidentally, if you select this area and then open in terminal, if you press that, you will not see many folders and files. So you have to navigate into this folder, your project folder. Let me open my terminal again. Select your project and then right click, click open in terminal, and then here I'm going to say .NET EF migrations add initial create. Now the thing is, you have to delete this migrations folder because there are existing migrations files. Let me show you these files. So delete that folder and then in the terminal you can execute this command. Now this initial create means the migration file name. So you can use your migration file name here. I'm using initial create for this first migration file. In future migrations files you can use different file names. So we can execute this command .NET EF migrations add initial create. Now if you are using Visual Studio in your Windows, you don't have to use this .NET EF. That's because the Nougat package console is not coming with this Visual Studio Mac version. So we can go ahead and execute this command .NET EF migrations add and then migration name. Press enter to execute. Now you can see build is success and the migrations folder as available as previously, and also the migration file is created. Now what happened? In the phpMyAdmin, the database is still not visible. That's because we had to run another command to update our database. You can go ahead and write here in the terminal .NET EF database update. But if you are using Windows, you only have to say let me show you that update hyphen database. But now I'm using Windows, so I will say .NET EF database update. Okay, that is success. Now we can check our phpMyAdmin in order to check whether this database is created. Now you can see the database is created and also it has some built-in tables by ASP.NET. Now we can run this application. Here we can go to register, then I will say ashane@gmail.com and then the password will be ashane $321 ashane $321. Press register. Now you can see it is working without errors. Now if we check our database in this ASP.NET users table, we can see our user account is visible. Now I hope this video helps. If this video helps, please subscribe. In future video we are going to learn how we can create a new table using migrations and code first approach. Okay, thank you.